Today in the crypto space, we see the market looking pretty good. Bitcoin right around that $52,000 mark, holding steady, while Ethereum is showing a lot of strength, 4% to the upside, hitting that $3,000 level. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are pretty much mixed with a bit of green and red. However, there are some really good gainers. Of course, Render, Caspa, Stacks, and many more. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that has been retracing, and it could be a good buy the dip opportunity. And that project is called Shido. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome on the channel. We talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate that strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setup fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's take a look at what's happening here in this market. Bitcoin is planking, going sideways at about 52K. Guys, this is what honestly, this is what I wanted Bitcoin to be doing in the next little while, because I want to see Ethereum get into the driver's seat. I want to see Ethereum continue showing strength in this market, giving us the indication that we are in an altcoin season. And guess what, guys? Right now, Ethereum is definitely in the driver's seat. It's up approximately 5%, while Bitcoin is up, give or take, 0.5%. And at the end of the day, this is a really good thing for the altcoin market. This is why we've been seeing a lot of good altcoins getting their opportunity, taking a nice pump to the upside, definitely in the green. All right, guys, let's continue here. What do we see? We have anything that is Ethereum related at the current moment should be nice and green. We have Lido staked Ether doing pretty good, of course, Cardano going sideways, and we see a lot of the altcoins kind of going sideways with a few good gainers. That's the reality. They all take turns. They're not all going to pump at the same time. And at the end of the day, we're seeing Uniswap going sideways while, Ethereum is showing strength, and Uniswap going sideways after a nice little rally to the upside is absolutely normal. It could be that Uniswap is just gearing up for another leg to the upside very soon. So let's see what happens. Ultimately, if Ethereum continues showing strength, my bullish target for ETH again is a little bit higher at about 3,500. Guys, tonight we'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about Ethereum, we'll talk about the Bitcoin dominance. So feel free to join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern. Let's continue here. What else do we have? Caspa, we have BitTensor kind of, doing its thing, guys. BitTensor did very well. A bit of a pullback, 3% in the next little while is absolutely fine. Caspa's still showing a lot of strength, 11.5% to the upside, up 24% in the last 7 days, looking pretty good. But you can see generally speaking, the consensus is Filecoin, HBAR, many projects are moving up double-digit gains across the board. So this is the thing here, guys. It's very important that we start looking for really good setups, really good bullish fundamentals, and that way we can capitalize on any of the volatility to the upside. The graph woke up finally. It is up 41%. Guys, I couldn't have told you more often. The graph is one of those that once it moves, it starts to really move, and the gains are great, up 41%. And I've been calling bottoms for a while on the graph. So this is it. If you were able to accumulate, congrats, great entries, nice good green candles, and of course, bags that are nice and full. Render doing its thing, continuously grinding to the upside after a few pullbacks. Now, do we continue getting those higher lows and higher highs? It could be possible. Even bearish divergences at this point, can be invalidated. So what we have to do is be very patient here to get confirmations in market structure, and then all of a sudden, maybe those bearish divergences might follow through. So let's be patient, very patient. Monero still coming to the downside, guys. Now another 9% dip in the last 24 hours, 10% in the 7 days, guys. But this is obviously a continuation from the previous dip. Yes, Monero's down, hovering around that $100 mark, very psychological level. I'm hoping to see it get some support, but we can understand the privacy narrative is always going to be under fire here until regulators kind of, leave it alone. At this point, Monero, the OG in privacy, is taking a bit of a dip. We do have more Ethereum projects, related Ethereum projects running. We have Rocket Pool ETH doing its thing. Beam is still moving up 20% in the last 7 days. Pretty good there. And the list continues, guys. We have a lot of good gainers. Theta Networks finally waking up. Is Theta? Yeah, Theta is up 10% today. Guys, I've kind of put my Theta interest on the back burner. There are a lot of other projects that are doing very similar things, like Joystream, that have showing a lot of potential and utility, whereas Theta is kind of like going sideways in both progression in their network and interest and hype and all of that. So I kind of put myself on the back burner because in the previous bull run, Theta was one of my major gainers. So maybe I'll take a look again, fundamentally get a bit of an update, see what the team is up to. And that's always a viable thing to do, is get yourself up to date. Learning and figuring out what the team is working on can get you fundamentally bullish. Let's continue going down. What other opportunities we see? We see the slow grind to the upside on many coins, higher highs and higher lows as we speak. A lot of individuals are calling an altcoin season that is on. It may as well be on. A lot of good gainers. Arweave waking up, part of that decentralized storage and narrative, definitely waking up. Ronin is continuing to the upside. Guys, I'm trying to get an entry on Ronin, but it's not giving me an opportunity with this bullishness. So that's the thing here, is I'm not going to be chasing green candles. We definitely have a few dips along the way. We have, of course, Pith looking a little bit weak here, down 2.5%. But of course, we know Pith has been grinding to the upside in the last little while, so maybe a bit of a pullback in the short term could be good for a little bit of an entry. Just understand that if an altcoin season comes, all of these tokens are going to get real good moves to the upside, and then Bitcoin might retrace. As soon as Bitcoin retraces, make sure that you're defensive on your gains on altcoins, because it's very likely that they start coming down for a retracement, pullback, confirmation lows, and support on previous price action. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin. First, we'll talk about Bitcoin, and then, of course, we'll talk about Shido, a very interesting project that has woken up in the last little while, making some really good gains at the entries that we've been talking about. But before we do that, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Guys, Bitcoin right now is definitely going sideways, something that I did anticipate. In fact, I wanted. We are getting a bit of a double top, an M pattern, not really the most bullish pattern to be seeing at these levels at horizontal resistance. So this is the thing here, guys. Should we be shorting Bitcoin? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. If you kind of get into the daily, it gets some oscillators going, and we can see momentum wise we're overbought. RSI is overbought. Many times we hit these levels, and we're still in a very divergent state in the sense that we're making lower highs on the RSI. Okay, guys, so this is higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the RSI. We did invalidate a little bit of it in this shorter term time frame. In this whipsaw price action, definitely got a few people wrecked. Straight up, straight down type of price action for me is not a scenario that I like to trade. However, down here at these bottoms at horizontal support, considering the fact that the trend is our friend, this would have been a good long scenario based on the 4-hour time frame that we found this entry perfectly, and then all of a sudden we're hesitating here. Guys, if you happen to buy the dip into this zone, get defensive, trail up a stop loss, take 10% of profit off the top just in case this thing rolls over, because Bitcoin is absolutely frothy in my opinion at these levels. It hasn't really taken a big pullback for a good while. The trend has definitely been its friend, and I'm waiting for this pullback in order to deploy a lot more capital, but not into Bitcoin. I'm deploying into altcoins. Guys, altcoins is where the magic happens. A lot of good volatility to the upside and a lot of good gains to be made. So that's my take here on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues going sideways, both on the daily, in overbought conditions, it could definitely take a dip, so be careful. But the 4-hour is definitely retracing. It looks a bit confused. The MACD looks a bit confused. Maybe we get where EMAs are facing down, red histogram bars to the downside. Maybe we get into the bearish control zone and get a bit of a corrective move at the beginning of this week. Maybe tomorrow, as the markets open, we might get a bit of negativity. But again, we got to be hopeful that Ethereum is definitely going to be in this driver's seat to hold up the altcoin market. So far, we've been getting a few bits of green, good days of green on the altcoin market, but not enough to really confirm this as an altcoin season. Usually altcoin season is a time where you see a lot of the altcoins run really hard and catch up to Bitcoin's price action. A lot of them haven't even left the station. All right, guys, let's move on. Bitcoin going sideways, doing its thing here is healthy for altcoins. And of course, today we're going to be talking about an altcoin that I haven't covered just yet. I covered it live many times. I covered it on the Discord. Guys, feel free to join that Discord. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, of course, setups and everything. I'm always there trying to help out the community, and the community is there to obviously help each other out. So really good opportunities there. And join live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, because if you have any requests or any projects you want me to cover, that is a great time and place to make those requests. Let's take a look at Shido. What's going on here with Shido? Guys, you know, the entries on Shido have been great, you know, and I kind of let them kind of simmer in the sense that I didn't, you know, get emotions get to me. We got in right at these levels. This is where I've been talking about Shido on the Discord, live streams and all of that. And then all of a sudden we see Shido start to run. Shido has been running. Now, we did create a scenario where you know, a bit of fear could definitely come in based on the pattern that we're building right here. Before we talk about patterns, let's look at the bearish divergence that we see here. Higher highs on the price action. Again, bearish divergences can definitely get invalidated. We've seen them many times in the last little while. Higher highs on the price action, lower highs on the RSI suggests that we are coming down. The momentum, essentially, momentum getting a full reset to oversold conditions would bring the price significantly lower. Now, what about if we hold support here based on previous levels? We have support. And mind you, we have seen many altcoins hold support in the chop zone of the RSI, which is pretty much the 50% zone, right into this level. If the price or the momentum goes sideways at this level, it's very likely that we could see Shido get a bit of support and bounce right back to overbought conditions. We've seen that across the board and many altcoins in the last little while because of the bullish sentiment. The bullish sentiment in altcoins right now are not allowing the momentum to get fully reset. And that's one of the indications that we're in a very bullish state. So for me, you know, buying the dip is a very viable option. But more or less, DCAing is very viable. Let's take a look at the MACD quick, and then we'll look at the market structure. We see the EMAs facing down, red histogram bars to the downside. To be honest, it's not looking that great. It could continue to the downside here based on the strength of this trend, and it's trying to get into the bearish control zone, which means that once it enters that level, you're going to see that the bears are going to be in a bit more control with regards to trend, and the strength of this trend is going to be bearish on the bearish side. So I'm not crazy about that. So generally speaking, we're seeing momentum shift on the RSI and trend shift on the MACD. Now, what about price action? We are at critical levels of horizontal support as we speak. We did come down. We got a nice level of support. We got a dead cat bounce, which is a quick bounce. And then all of a sudden, you know, we're coming down to test this level again. This dead cat bounce usually indicates that a lot of algorithmic buy orders were placed on exchanges, people liking these previous highs. Obviously, a lot of individuals here, market participation got involved here, maybe buying the dip and getting defensive on the zone, and we got a nice bounce to the upside. Now we're coming back down. Do we have enough bearishness in this market and on Shido to actually make a lower low? Guys, lower lows, we already got a lower high. Supposedly, this could be considered a lower high, right? We could get a bounce and make another higher high, and maybe then we start rolling over. But as of now, this is the data we have. So let's mark this up here and just make this clear. Right now, this is all we got. This right here, and we could definitely break this low. If we break this low right here, we basically confirm this as the confirmation high, the lower high. And if we break below this low, we're going to see the price action come down here, and then we're all of a sudden confirming that we made a lower low. Lower highs, lower lows, the trend is your friend, guys. It's likely that we start looking for lower level support, and that's an unfortunate thing here because it's going to slowly, the market is slowly going to eat away at our gains. So it's time to get defensive. Now, if you're looking at this, there's other things to be said. We got the bearish divergence, we got the follow through, we got the horizontal support, and now we got the confirmation high, which is potentially a lower high at this current moment, unless, you know, something else happens where we come up a little bit higher on a retracement right back to the upside and make a higher high. But as the current moment, you're probably seeing this as a head and shoulders formation, which is very viable. We have shoulder right here, and guys, it's so interesting because we got bearish divergence on these two tops, and we got the follow through, we got the confirmation shoulder, the right shoulder, and now we have the neckline. Now, one thing that I want to state about this neckline, let's make this a bit bigger so we can, you know, isolate some of this price action. And number one, this is on the daily, guys. So patterns and market structure and momentum on oscillators, on dailies, on daily time frames tend to be a lot more reliable than lower time frames. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Number one, we have to understand that the market is quite bullish. Okay, and the reality is, if an altcoin season comes, we're going to look for any horizontal support as an excuse to get a bounce. Okay, and this could be that zone. Diagonally, we have support. Horizontally, we have support. And ultimately, the market structure or the market sentiment, we have support based on the bullishness in this market. However, guys, if we break this diagonal line, we are basically breaking the diagonal neckline of this head and shoulders formation, shoulder, head, shoulder, that can cause it to fall to lower levels. And a measured move suggests that we're coming down significantly lower. Now, we'll eyeball this and you can see what kind of target we're coming down lower than previous lows. Guys, I really don't think that it's going to happen. You know, we're going to have to be modest about this and, you know, forget lower lows. Let's say even if we come back down to the breakout point. Okay, that for me would be an absolute bearish thing anyway, right? For that type of dump to happen. Personally speaking, we're looking at other horizontal levels of support. We got previous lows, we got price action right into here. And that's one thing I want to state here about diagonals. Is I don't personally like trading diagonals because diagonals have a flaw. The flaw is that a lot of the times we focus on diagonals as a level of invalidation. It is not the greatest level of invalidation because you have other zones below that could act as support, because that is exactly why we have a diagonal, right? We have this low right here to deal with, we have this low down here to deal with, and we could get support right here or it's even right here. And still, if you think about it, nice corrective move, nice bounce, accumulation, and then continuation. It doesn't mean that necessarily that we're going to come all the way down to this target, or even for this matter, doesn't mean that we're even going to break this diagonal with lots of strength, because again, let's zoom in a little bit. You can see that we have this low right here that desperately needs to hold. This low right here is pretty much the most important low at this current moment, because if we break below this low, we're making a lower low, and that would be that confirmation that we're changing trend, and this was a pivot point. Okay, so far there's nothing really to be bearish about. Don't try to front run this, because many times we've seen head and shoulders formations get support on any level of, whether it be diagonal or a nice horizontal, because sometimes head and shoulders, the ones that I like to trade, are nice and flat. The necklines are nice and flat. This is diagonal, so I'm not crazy about this diagonal. And in line with that, you can see that even if we come down, we can get a bounce right here and get a bounce right here and then continue to the upside. Let's look at our horizontal levels based on volume, which I appreciate much more. We do have this level right here that we got to watch out for. For some reason, I know the price action is not really giving it to us, but you can see there's a bit of a spike right here in the volume right here at this level. And all of a sudden we have a volume gap. So we have the top of the volume gap that we're currently, you know, trying to stay above. And then we have this entire volume gap that the price can fall right through. So the next target really is right here, and I'm going to be a bit more modest. Let's bring it up a little bit so that we can be more modest about it. Right here, if we can get some support right here, even making this lower low, guys, that will be bearish, no doubt. But on the bounce, are we actually going to pick up enough bullishness to make that higher high? And then it could totally invalidate everything. So far, we're waiting on this diagonal break. This diagonal break is going to dictate the future of Shido. And then obviously, we're going to be looking at next levels. Down here, 0.0052 by the dip. And then after that, guys, really, there's not much happening until we can look at this level. Really, we got lows. We got a bit of price action. We can get support all into here, maybe even here. I'm going to put that horizontal. This is how we deal with very weak price action, in the sense that the price action is not giving us an edge, and you can see the clarity is not very good. So even here is interesting to me, and I'm marking this up to kind of give us all the levels. Really, volume gap right into here. We have a bit of a zone that we could hold up. If you look, this ends right around this level. We can get a nice bounce. We can also get a nice bounce here. So the question is, where do I buy? Now that we have our clear zones of horizontal support, where is the best time to take risk? Look, guys, looking at the daily, wait for it to kind of get oversold. If it gets oversold, buy the dip. If the daily gets stuck in the chop zone for a little while, consider buying the dip. But better yet, what I would be doing is getting into the 4-hour. The reason being is it might not get oversold on the daily based on this hype, based on the sentiment of the altcoins. It might not happen. So let's get onto the 4-hour. We can see that the head and shoulders is definitely right in our face, and that we are definitely going choppy here. Okay, so we're not very clear with the sentiment if we're actually going to break down right now. So it could be that we get some support. And talking about oversold conditions, if we get oversold on the 4-hour, it's likely that we do hold support right on this level. Another impulsive move down, maybe we come down to this level about 0.006, 0.0066 is not bad of a zone. Even right now is not bad, given the fact that you know you're not buying the top. The reality is, look at the price action. At previous high, this was the top. This retracement came down already significantly enough to suggest that you are not exit liquidity. So let's take a measurement quick. We got the highs more or less, and where we are right now, it's a 36% discount on Shido. And at these tops, people were wishing to get a 36% discount. All of a sudden it's here. We see a pattern. It's starting to look bearish. We have diagonal support that we're desperately trying to hold above. We have the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour, trying to keep the price propped up. And then all of a sudden we're starting to look for horizontal levels where we can potentially get in on a buy the dip opportunity. Guys, I think Shido is one of those projects at the current moment, based on the diagonal and all these levels, that you just need to be prepared to DCA. You know, if it does break down, just buy the dip. If you're fundamentally bullish, if you appreciate what this project is trying to achieve and the value proposition that it has, this is your opportunity to DCA at a potential decent area of retracement. 38%. If it comes down more or less, it's going to be another, 5%, 10%. You're looking at a 50% discount. I will definitely be spamming those buy orders, guys, if Shido does come down to these levels. Just keep in mind, this bearish pattern, this head and shoulders formation, does have a price target of a very, very bearish target, which is at about 0.003 more or less. Okay, even lower perhaps. Keep this in mind, guys. Join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we're going to talk about crypto news and price action. If you have any projects, that is a great time and place to make those requests, and I'll definitely put them in top priority. Guys, join that Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.